We organized. We have so many activist groups in this county, we can't count them all. We spoke out. We've been speaking out through social media, through the local news. We've been marching on town squares, all across the county, all the way to Albany, even down to DC. And we have run for office. And most of the people that ran for office this year were women. And we won. But the creme de la creme, folks, the creme de la creme, bringing us up to today, I have the profoundly deep honor of announcing a woman, the first woman from Delaware County, first Democrat woman from Delaware County to run for state office. This woman has spent her life in public service, and she knows the meaning of public. That word public in public service, she knows that it means people, not lobbyists, not corporations, not the highest bidder or the lowest lobbyist. She knows that it means us, people. And she's been fighting corruption her entire career. She's got a nose for it. And we would do well to listen to her when she speaks out about corruption in our government. She understands, not like our current assembly member, Senator, sorry. I'm nervous. She knows better than anyone that you don't have to go along to get along. She actually teaches people how to resolve issues. What better representation can we have? She's tenacious, she's unflappable, and she is fierce. I don't want to delay this any longer. Let's get her out here. Joyce St. George.
Wow. You guys made it. I can't believe how many people came out on a glorious spring day in the snow. So let me just say, I'm Joyce St. George. I know most of you. I've known most of you for tons of years, which really tells you a lot. And I have never, ever been more welcome and more loved in a community. And I've never felt that than I do here. And I'm not saying it just because it's part of what I want to say, but it is part of my life. Frank and I would never, ever leave here. Not because there aren't any warmer places or prettier, or, well, I would challenge prettier. Warmer, but this is the place. And when you die and go to heaven, you're going to end up here, so you might as well get a good start. So this is where tourists come from all over the world to ski or to hike or to canoe or kayak. They come to eat our organic and fresh fruits and foods. They come and look around and go, gee, what would it be like to live here? And they just are awestruck when they come and they see these mountains, and not only these mountains, but this entire region. It's amazing. We live here, so we see the beauty every day. But we also are the caretakers of this territory, this area, this district. We're the ones who make sure the roads are clear. We're the ones who make sure people are fed. We're the ones who clean up after another torrential flood. We take care of it. It also comes with a price. We know, even though the tourists can't always see this, we know the poverty. We know the inequities. We know what's wrong with our area. And so that's a huge issue for me, because being up here, we're very independent. You know, some of us live way out in the hinterland like I do, and if something happens, I don't wait for an ambulance, I drive. If somebody needs something, they call, we come. Because we know they may not have anybody else around them. So we're very independent, we take care of what we can. We have churches and temples and synagogues that take care of us when they can. We have nonprofits that are phenomenal, even though they're eking out an existence because they can hardly afford to stay open. They help. And we have local governments that really try to keep the roads clear. They try to keep things working. Schools try to keep things working. The problem I'm having is, where is the state? And I don't mean the entire state. I mean, where are our representatives? That's what's been troubling me, because I see all the things that really need to be done. I see how much we can accomplish if we had partnerships with our legislators. But we very rarely do. And when we do, it's because we're a pet. There's no comprehensive way that our legislators help us. They don't look at the whole community and say, gee, you know, not only do we need economic development, but there's poverty here, and we have to tie that in. And there are infrastructure problems here that we need to tie in. There isn't any of that. What there is every now and then somebody gets a grant, somebody gets money, and I applaud that. I do. The nursing home just got a new roof, and I'm very happy that they did. And we have lots and lots of firehouses around the district that get new fire trucks. We have people who do give us money, and I appreciate that. But it's not comprehensive. It's hit and miss. It's Band-Aids. Because you could put a roof on a hospital or a nursing home, and yet we are still paying $60, $70, $80 copays. We're still, if we're in the ER, if one of our kids gets into the ER or somebody else, we're paying $1,000 at least deductible. So as much as it's great to have these improvements with the firehouse and with the nursing home, what are we doing for our health care? So here's my deal. There are two things I'm really going to strike out on. One is looking holistically at our communities, whether it's here or Cayuga or Ulster, and we cover 9 counties, by the way. This district covers 9 counties. And there are lots of towns that are doing pretty well, but there are so many more that are not. And they don't need a grant for a roof. They need an overhaul. They need somebody to step in and say, let's talk about what you would like in this community. What's going on in this community? How do we help you? Because as a state representative, my job is not just to develop policies and laws. It's also to help the communities, not individuals that are pets. So that's one thing. The second thing is, many of you know me, so you know that in my past life I was a corruption investigator. I was there after Serpico in New York City, and I was the first female hired to do investigations on corruption within the entire criminal justice system in New York City. I was a state AG, Attorney General investigator, investigating the city. And it was during the 70s, it was pretty messy. A lot of cleanup needed to happen because the system was very broken. I'm getting the same feeling about our government today. So I don't want to just single out Senator Seward because he's going to be our opponent or my opponent. I think that he is just the victim of where he is. We have some pretty bad habits going on in the government. One of the things that I've discovered after doing my research on District 51 and what Senator Seward has done is he is in charge of insurance oversight for New York State. The majority of his contributions come from insurance companies. At best, it's a conflict of interest. At best. And I will bet you that other people are doing the same thing. And we cannot let that happen. The other thing that I found when I was researching Senator Seward is, besides getting a lot of money from insurance companies, he was getting a lot of money from real estate development companies in New York City. And I'm like, what's a guy up here doing getting money from down there? And getting pretty good money. I mean, that was his second biggest donation, was from real estate developers. So I dug in a little bit more, and I found at least one huge loophole. It's called Article 421. You're going to be hearing about this. Article 421 was a law that was created in 1971 when New York City was going bankrupt and the city needed some help. So the state intervened. They created a bill, Article 421, to give tax breaks to real estate developers who would come in and help out, help restore New York City. 1971. That law still sits on our books. And right now, I just looked at an article from January of this year, we lost $1.4 billion in tax revenue because real estate developers were getting it. And that's only one loophole. So corruption is a huge issue for me. It's not just a word. To me, it's a way of life. And I feel that we have allowed somebody to come in, spend 22 years with us, and get habituated, develop that pattern of being one of those go along to get along guys. We can't afford it. When they talk about shutting schools or cutting health care or cutting Social Security, no, we're going to cut loopholes. When they talk about guns and they talk about we can't control them, well, Seward has an A+ rating at the NRA. And last week, or maybe the week before, he voted against a bill that would take guns away from domestic violence abusers. We have to do something better. We do not have somebody in there who's protecting us. And let me tell you, we have a .22 long. It's a rifle, and we have horses, and I use it, or Frank will use it if there's some kind of an animal that's attacking our horses. So we know what guns are used for. We know that there are people up here who would not have meat all winter if they were not allowed to kill a deer. So we understand the use of guns. I don't understand the misuse of bills that will not control those guns. So those are two of my biggest points. There's lots and lots of other things that fit underneath them, like infrastructure and finance, campaign finance reform. There's a lot of different things that I'd love to see in terms of partnering and building coalitions between business and schools and colleges, so that we can do things together. I just started last year a coalition on addiction, and we now have several people working on it, and several of the social service agencies and mental health agencies partnering with us to do that. That's what we need to do. We need to gather everybody. So those are some of the things I'd like to do. I don't want to go into my background. It's very checkered. You don't know my background. I will be coming out with lots and lots of statements. I am sure that Senator Seward, who now has about, what's it now?
360.
360? He has $360,000 in the bank, waiting for us. And it will probably double as the campaign goes. And the other one who's going to go after me pretty big is Reclaim New York. I don't know how many people know Reclaim. All right. I've been going all around the state for the last year and a half, talking about them to all types of groups that will listen to me, to talk about how they are established by Steve Bannon and the Mercers, and how they're insinuating themselves into local politics so that they could turn things around and divide people. So these are some of the things that I'm going to have to fight. You're going to hear a lot of dirt, but to be honest with you, Frank and I are pretty boring. Look at Frank. We do what we do at the pantry. We help out with the town. We are people who care, and whatever skeletons they think we have in our closets, it ain't there. So I'm very, very eager to see what they're going to cook up, but I know we could fight it. So I just want to thank you all again. I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to fight as hard as I can. We're going to need all the help we can get. And I'm so glad that you're here. And there are so many wonderful people here. I mean, Laura, this one organized this. Yay! Bert Hubble's back there. Annie's around. Yay! You know, Laura, I mean, we have such a great team that I'm beside myself.
You have such a great candidate.
So it's going to be a real uphill climb. A lot of people like Senator Seward because he gives money out. What we have to do is let them know, number one, he's throwing crumbs, and it's our pie.
Yes.
It's our money. It's our pie. And that we don't deserve to have crumbs anymore. We will speak out like the Parkland kids are speaking out. We will speak out. We want something better. So we have to look at Senator Seward and know that, yes, he's got a great smile. He's a nice guy. I've had dinner with him. He's a wonderful guy. But he votes against everything that we stand for. He voted against gay marriage. He votes with Trump. I'm sorry?
He votes with Trump.
He votes with Trump. And that's the only thing I'll say about Trump. We have to make sure that people really understand what it is that we're doing and what we're up against. And one of the things that I would like you to think of is we are so close in the Senate of New York State to having a majority again. We are only 1 or 2 votes away. That's worth fighting for. So that we can get the health care that we want, we can get the taxes that we want, we can get the care that we want, we can get all the things that we want done to make this a better place. So with that, I thank you so much.